and the problem they can afford to skimp on their own defense. We now see Germany finally waking up and having a second Zeitenwende, a second effort to kickstart their defense programs through huge investment. But the UK, for example, is still doggedly refusing to do so. That's despite the fact that the UK is a frontline state. It might not be evident if you look at a map of Europe, where we seem to be at the far end of the continent from the problem. But the trouble is, the world is not flat. Looking at a globe instead shows just how exposed the UK is to Russia coming out into the Norwegian Sea, the North Atlantic, and launching those long-range strikes that have been so devastating against Ukraine.
We've seen some drone incursions, whether they're coming from Russia, whether they're coming from Belarus. We saw Lithuania closing its airspace this morning, and the red alert, take to shelter. These have happened before, but can we talk about whether we should start paying more and more attention to not just Lithuania, but the whole of the Baltics?
Now that Russia has seen the political impact of drone overflights, we can be sure that Moscow will be trying to maximize it in the future. Whether it's Lithuania today, Latvia previously with government turmoil, Finland just a few days before that, the impact of these drones that are flying back and forth is enormous on those host countries. So we can assume that if Russia is in fact able to redirect and divert her electronic warfare, the drones that are heading towards targets on its territory, so that instead they overfly or even impact in the Baltic states, they'll continue to do that while still stirring up trouble within those countries to the best of their abilities.
Is there a grand plan? Is the idea just stir the pot as much as possible? Or, does Russia have a grand plan when it comes to the Baltics?
It's not new for Russia to accuse the frontline states of being launchpads for attacks into Russia on behalf of NATO. So what people will be looking for instead is what has changed. And what does appear new is this ability of Russia to redirect these drones so that they cause political impact in those Baltic states, in Finland, in Poland, and of course Russia will only benefit from that.
Just for our readers, can you talk about sort of like step-by-step what has happened in the past week? And it just feels like very small things, a drone here, a drone there, but it has led to resignations, it has led to closure of airspaces. So how is it amounting to a bigger thing?
Drones flying where they shouldn't be is nothing new. We saw not only the redirection of drones that were targeting Ukraine into Poland last year, but also now increasingly frequently drones that are flying in the other direction. Ukrainian drones that are attacking targets within Russia, being redirected or going off course and overflying or even landing in the frontline states from Finland all the way down through to Poland. And that's had an outsized impact within those countries, partly, of course, because it stirs up the debate about the role of those countries in supporting Ukraine in the war on Russia. In most of those countries, of course, there's huge support for these drone attacks on Russia itself. But, of course, that's second thoughts for some people when they see them landing in their own country. But also, it's highlighted that it's very difficult for those countries sometimes to defend against these drones, to intercept them, to make sure they cause no damage, to monitor them even as they fly through their airspace. And that in turn has shown how urgent it is to defend, or rather to prepare the defenses against that kind of strong drone strike, because it's been demonstrated by Russia what a core part this is of how Russia plans to wage war in the future.
Some of the drones that we have seen in some of the Baltic states, the incursions, the Baltic states have said that some of them are suspected to be coming from Ukraine, some are definitely coming from Ukraine, and none of them are actual attacks on the Baltic states. They're just sort of confused drones. I'm going to assume. You can confirm or deny that if you want. But as you said, they are causing, a level of panic